I'm going to welcome to the stage Natalie and Stacey to please join me. And we will be discussing redefining wealth management in a digital-first world, which I'm really excited about. So, thank you so much for joining us. Hello, hello.
Thank you.
Oh, should we
I
switch?
feel like we should have switched.
Wait, yeah, do
Yeah.
you want to switch? Do you there we go. Stacey, Natalie, there you go.
Well prepped. Well prepped.
So this was originally meant to be a round table, but instead we're going to turn it into an audience engagement / fireside chat to discuss digital wealth. So first off, I'm going to ask you both to introduce yourselves. Ladies first. Natalie, tell us about you. Tell us about Old Street VC.
Yep. So my name is Natalie. I'm the co-founder and COO at Old Street Ventures. We are not quite a VC. We are kind of part fund, part startup, part engagement platform. We are building the infrastructure to bridge private and public markets through a platform that allows mass market retail investors access to VC via fund-of-fund style products. So our approach is compatible with your ISAs, SIPs, global investors, and major investment platforms. So all in all, trying to democratize the venture capital space a little bit.
Yes.
And make it more accessible.
I think not to pat my own shoulder, I think I said making the everyday person an LP, and I think that's a good way to put it. If I do say so myself. Stacey, over to you. Please tell us a bit about you.
Hi, thanks for having me. So, Stacey Body, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Eventor. We are a digital wealth management platform targeting the underserved individuals within the UK. FCA regulated and B Corp, very much focused on financial well-being for individuals. With the increased regulation here in the UK, what we're finding is a lot of large wealth managers, insurance companies, etc., are finding it very difficult to serve individuals with, say, less than £200,000 to invest. So we're building technology to enable people to make their own financial decisions.
And just to tug at that string, you said underserved, so is that someone who has less than 200,000 to invest, or how do you define underserved in this scenario?
It's the clients that are unprofitable to be serviced in a traditional way. So the traditional way of looking after a client is you'll charge them a percentage of their assets, which works very well if a client's got £1 million. It's not so good if somebody's got 50,000, because on average now it's about £1,900 cost to service a client. So, yeah, you need around 200.
Do something about that.
Absolutely. And that's where tech comes in.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to now include you into the conversation. So we're going to do, by quick show of hands, raise your hand, please, if your organization is actively exploring new AI-driven tools for portfolio management or client engagement. Yeah? All right. We all seem a bit nervous. No one wants to get caught out for doing that. Okay, great. How many of you are currently using AI or robo-advisors in your wealth management strategies, whether in your org or personally even? Yes? Okay, we see a few hands. Who here, this is a fun one. Who here believes that human advisors will remain essential to wealth management even as AI tools evolve? Yeah, I see more hands for this. And that's actually really interesting because I think for those of you that were here yesterday, there was a panel and one of the panelists was saying that they have found that Gen Z very much, when discussing wealth, want to speak to an actual human. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't surprise me at all.
Absolutely.
Who here has noticed a significant shift in client expectations due to digital tools in wealth management? Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting one. I feel like I speak to lots of folks in Canary Wharf around asset managers and that sort of thing. Coutts and Credit Suisse and, well, UBS, are all seemingly building out these digital propositions for high net worth. So it seems that whether or not people are asking for it, there is an expectation of it. Last one, how many of you think regulatory challenges are the biggest barrier to adopting new digital wealth management tools? Regulation, yeah? Jess. Giant Cheshire cat grin on your face. Amazing. So I think we're all kind of, I think we're on the same page here.
Absolutely.
Having looked out onto the audience. And this is actually really exciting for me because I get to learn from both of you. I actually don't know very much about wealth tech in general. So I know that we've been told some really great stories and sold a lot of promises about how AI is going to augment, improve our journey to growing wealth. But let's dive in. So Stacey, currently you are bootstrapped. You've built this beautiful business. You are revenue generating. What are the most significant challenges that you have faced as you have tried to adopt digital wealth management tools?
It's very much around the regulation. Following on from our
Spoiler.
last, there we go. Specifically to the UK, the regulator is still considering very much around the border between actual advice and guidance. And although you can build AI tools and machine learning to really do a lot of the heavy lifting to service wider groups of people in a much more cost-efficient way, it's where does the barrier between the actual official of giving advice, because we can't have AI giving answers to individuals, because you really, in the regulator's eyes, you're going to need somebody to be accountable for that advice, the decision that's been made. So we're going down the route of using AI to engage with individuals and then bringing connected data into a platform where individuals can use that as a guidance tool to make informed decisions themselves. So it's really around the AI doing a lot of the heavy lifting. We use voice-to-voice conversational tools that will really just have a chat with that client to gather the information. And then, as I say, we'll bring the data forward to those clients and start building a sort of life plan of what that could look like. But very importantly, the data within the system and the AI will identify when a client actually needs advice, and then we'll have a team of people that can really laser focus on the need rather than giving a blanket solution for advice to everyone.
I quite like that. It's almost AI and human enhanced in a way. I was reading last week, maybe the week before, in Israel, that there is a startup that has just gained the first license to actually provide investment advice using AI.
Oh.
And they're in a trial period. Please keep me honest here if anyone knows what I'm talking about. But I remember reading that and going, wow, that's actually a huge leap for the regulator to say, okay, we're going to give you the green light to allow AI to give advice. And I think even from a human perspective, yesterday we were talking about people getting information from TikTok these days about where to invest their money, and they are tiptoeing a very, very thin line, right, of advice and guidance.
It's a situation that's going to only get worse in the UK. 62% of advisors are due to retire by the end of the decade. And with the cost of advice going up, just means more and more people aren't going to be able to access it. So something needs to change. Obviously, AI is the obvious solution to process amounts of data and, give people the support that they need. But also the models at the moment where everybody is forced down the route to receive advice and pay for ongoing advice, whether they need it or not. And that's really where we're trying to play.
That's interesting. Just because you can doesn't necessarily mean that you should.
Absolutely.
And Natalie, we were earlier speaking about our own woes with the regulator. We're not here to bash any regulator, by the way. But you're currently on the journey of becoming regulated, and I think I was lamenting over my own issues when trying to get my business regulated and having to explain to the FCA what it is we are trying to build, why it exists, why people would even engage with it. And mind you, it's an ancient practice of pooling funds that people have been doing around the world for centuries, so not really that innovative. How have you found it in this approach where you're really trying to open up this access to the average person to be an LP? Have you found pushback? You're on the FCA's innovative delivery.
Innovative pathways.
Yes, sorry. There's so many different names for it. There's the sandbox. There's a direct support program. That's great.
Yep.
How have you found? Has it been a challenge or a net positive for you?
I think, to be honest, like going through the innovation pathways has been kind of a blessing. Like it's been really good for us. You kind of get a person to talk to and actually like engage with, get them to understand what you're building and kind of why. And so then the idea is that then when you do go to like your FCA, like get full authorization, that this person who you've been working for already kind of understands your case, basically. So for us, it's been good. The person who we've gotten has been, understands basically what we're building and why. So from that perspective, it's been good. Although I've heard obviously the opposite as well, that like they haven't been so helpful. I think it can go either way, depending on who you end up dealing with.
Now picturing in my head, we're getting a bit meta now, where not meta as in Facebook meta, but meta in the real sense of the word meta, where perhaps we were discussing yesterday, many of the regulators are so short-staffed and struggling to hire great talent, and perhaps there's use cases for regulators to be applying AI in their case reviews. But I digress. That's a different conversation. Earlier when we were chatting outside, you discussed kind of portfolio management, and we've heard kind of similar refrains throughout the day already about AI and how it might be better suited to look at portfolio management and better place funds or risk profile, etc., than necessarily engaging with that end customer. So how do you view that from where you're sitting at Old Street?
I mean, there's, I guess, different ways to engage, or I guess how you could utilize like AI in kind of your portfolio structure or customer experience. I think, AI is great if you have a full idea of your portfolio and how to allocate it. From OSV's perspective, we deal with kind of VC as a whole. So for us, we want to basically implement kind of AI in like the customer experience side of things. Down the line, obviously, the idea is to be able to kind of have that full view, and that's where AI comes in. Because to give kind of the advice on, your portfolio allocation, you shouldn't be allocating everything to venture capital, and we don't want that. And what is the best way to do that based off like your risk appetite and your profile? I think, AI is a great way of bringing that advice in, but you also need the human behind it, because you also need somebody to kind of walk you through that. I think it's a great like educational piece. And can help with that portfolio management and advice. But at the end of the day, I think there is that element of trust that you get and like those soft skills from a human. And I think that is what's always going to be kind of key in this industry, is a person has those soft skills and kind of has those relationships as well with the deals that can be made in the venture capital funds. And that's what you need at the end of the day to even have this AI give you the advice that you need.
Well, we were all kind of moaning earlier about how the very nature of venture capital is to be risk-taking. It is the riskiest asset class to invest in. And we were I was lamenting personally that many investors' approach is to try and underwrite an early stage company as if they're underwriting an IPO, because they're usually ex-investment bankers, when really the purest form of VC, the reason why Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz are who they are is because they just very much went on gut feeling, on do we like this founder? Do we think they can build this thing that they're building, right?
I think there's very much a difference between sort of the US VC market and the European VC. Here we're very much, we want a sure thing. You're too early, get more traction. We've seen that many times. Whereas in the US, it's very much, you're a founder, can you deliver on this great idea? Here's some cash.
This is really just an insight into my nightmares. Repeat. We just want to see a bit more traction. Stacey, you were nodding as Natalie was saying this about that human piece, but within your own business, as you've been increasing your assets under management and the portfolio that you have available for your customers, are you looking at enabling AI or internally to better do that and deploy capital?
Well, we're independent, so we're about trying to find the right products and services with third parties, and then pushing our clients towards those, or assisting our clients find those. So we outsource all of our portfolio management to an asset manager, but actually they are an AI-focused asset manager.
Oh, fantastic.
So they use the AI to, obviously analyze markets and pick out volatility. But importantly, there's also the human touch of somebody sense-checking those decisions. We're not yet comfortable with a black box making decisions with no human check. And again, that's a nice narrative with the way that we are working with clients in using the AI to do the heavy lifting and then having a human to sign off on things if needed.
It's funny, I always tell people never take, well, first of all, none of this is investment advice. Blanket statement, but I always tell my girlfriends, do not take my investment advice because I am the worst stock picker in the world. Genuinely, if I tell you to invest in something, in a stock, you should run in the opposite direction. I invested in Twitter when it was $60 a share, because I was like, there's so much more that Twitter can be. It's going to be fantastic. And then what had happened is, the rest is history. Elon Musk took over, and it was like, less than 50 a share or something? So I actually really lost out on that. So I think there are definitely better decisions to be made, but definitely don't listen to this human. Stacey, we're in London, we're in Canary Wharf. We've seen Nutmeg acquired by JP Morgan. We've seen Free Trade is now at 1.3 million customers, I believe. And, investment and robo-advisors, which kind of were that first wave of wealth tech, are grown up now. Where do you see robo-advisors going in the next 3 to 5 years?
Robo-advice is an interesting phrase because they're not robots and they don't give advice. They're digital savings.
Why do we call them that?
They're digital savings platforms, and they've got a real good market. Again, where we're trying to work is provide more of a holistic financial planning technology to help people understand the decisions. The investment's really the last stage of that process. You need to understand what the client has, what they want to achieve, put that plan in place. Then the next phase is understanding the custodian, the product, the pensions or ISAs or GIA, whatever that is. And then finally, it's the investment strategy that helps them do that. So, and that's really the correct process to go through. What a lot of people tend to do is download an app and go, I'll put some money into that and do it. But there's not really a plan.
Guilty.
Yeah, me too. Again, we're using the technology to support people, and not just trying to push people into investment, whether it's right or wrong, and then finding those right investments that match those client needs. And really, our job is to identify and monitor and police the products and services that we have on our platform and amend as needed.
So what I'm hearing over and over, the theme that's emerging is there's this human enhanced nature, yeah? Natalie, you're nodding. So with, gosh, what did you say, 60% of human advisors are retiring?
62 apparently.
62% apparently of human wealth advisors, financial advisors, are retiring. How do you see the role of actual human advisors changing with these increasing digital propositions? Is it something where they can still leverage, or better manage their portfolio, or is it that we can change access in a different way and they can have the human touch and be that person to pick up the phone and build the trust with the end client? How do you think about that?
I mean, to what you just said, like the trust, again, I think it kind of comes back to those soft skills, right? Of the relationship building between, the funds that you would like to be invested in. There's always going to be somebody, well, not always necessarily, but currently VC is very much like a person-to-person industry, and it's kind of who you know, and it's all about talking and getting those deals and getting that allocation. So from that sense, I think for quite a while there will be that person that you need to build those relationships, and as well as build that trust with customers. I think it's great to have a AI kind of tell you, okay, well, this is my money, this is my portfolio allocation, cool, like what can I do with that, or where can I go, what's the risk profile if I invest in this, but at the end of the day, yeah, there's going to be that what you want to be able to call somebody and be like, okay, well, I've done this. Like, either how can I fix this, or like, what else can I do that was similar? Do you know what I mean? I think, yeah, there will always want that additional human element, and that is how you build trust. It's not just a great brand or a great humans are behind it.
Well, to that end, is it possible for a brand to build trust with a human in that way?
From us, it's around, I think trust comes from the way you're delivering things and the way you're structuring things. And I think far too much of financial services is around selling product rather than understanding the client need and helping them decide the correct path. Yeah. And that's really where the human element comes in, because obviously humans understand humans. Yeah. The issue comes when those humans aren't available to a certain demographic of individuals, and doing things the same way that things have always been done in a world that is definitely changing, obviously will not work. For us, it's a balance of using AI tools and technology to enhance the humans and allowing humans to then spend more time focusing on delivering to individuals, not shuffling paper and writing reports and gathering research, and that's the bit that the AI can do.
I'm sure anyone that spends time on the internet has seen that quip, which is, I want AI to do my dishes and do my taxes and do the laundry and fold the laundry and put it away. I don't want it to take my job. And I think what you said there is, how do we enhance the human so that they can be more productive in that way?
It reminds me, I did a course with Oxford, and the professor there said, if you are selling your knowledge to individuals to monetize it, you need to learn to cook a very good breakfast. And that was quite terrifying when you're in financial services.
There you go. We'll end off on one last thing, which is very near and dear to my heart personally. My company, Bloom Money, focuses on serving low to medium income immigrant communities. And we are very much focused on how can we help people build wealth. My parents were immigrants to the US. I remember it blew my mind when my mother said, most people make money with their bodies. The lucky few make money with their brains, and the very rich make money with their money. And she always kind of said to me, the goal is for you to make money with your money, and you're making money as you sleep, right?
Absolutely.
But that is not something that is accessible to every single person. And in fact, most people will, unfortunately, die still making money with their bodies. I mean, like manual labor or whatever, right? And so it's very near and dear to my heart. How do we then create a world where we can use digital tools such that everyone has an opportunity to open up access? So, Natalie, maybe to you first, making everyone an LP, for example. How do we go about doing this?
I mean, there is the aspect of regulation.
Yeah. Here we go again.
Yeah, we will get into that. But yeah, making it more accessible through regulations, which is kind of what Old Street is doing, and kind of using the regulatory system and bastardizing a little bit to work in the way that we want it to work. I will say education is a massive piece, and that is where AI can come in. You know, understanding more about financial services and how to invest and providing that kind of content. And yeah, there's a lot of content around it that probably needs to be out there and shared. And I think that's a good place to start, to allow people to become aware of, you know, what are the possibilities, and then it's allowing them to invest in the way that they want. So, you know, bringing down high investment thresholds and price tags, and allowing them to get into these spaces that they might not have had access to before. But yeah.
Stacey?
Absolutely, completely agree. The thing with technology is it's a great leveler.
Yeah.
And whereas human-to-human relationship, you know, an advisor may be able to look after 200 clients, for example. With technology, you can look after 2 million clients. Because the technology and the compute power actually is doing a lot of the legwork. So it's just changing that mindset and really allowing people to engage with platforms. The other thing that tech can do quite well is give transparency. Remove a lot of the smoke and mirrors around costs and charges and performance, and actually give people visualization of how things are doing, what they're doing, all fed by, you know, by data sources. So I think it's going to be, you know, a very interesting time over the coming years as AI really starts to pick up. And I think it's just going to benefit individuals, and as you were saying, individuals that, you know, potentially aren't getting or won't be able to access the traditional methodologies. And also we can bring the type of financial solutions that, you know, the top 1% are receiving, and technology can bring that down to the masses as well.
Well, we've come full circle where you originally said, you know, the cost of servicing a customer, you got to make it worth the squeeze, and so let's
Absolutely.
leverage technology to better do that for everyone. Right, I'm going to end there. I think we have time for one question. If anyone has anything burning to ask, yes, I'll come to you.
I'm going to carry on my gist of technology replacing humans, but I'm really intrigued why you think that it will never well, are you saying it'll never happen? It's a question of when, not if, or it'll never happen that humans won't get replaced in this case. I'll just give you a little example, is that when we were putting banks online for the first time in '96, we felt that nobody would buy a house online. It's too big a purchase. Biggest thing that you'll ever do. Well, I'll buy a book online, but I'm not going to buy my house. The only reason we couldn't do it was because of the paperwork, right? And now as data's being digitized, that's going to change. So in the question of wealth, we already had technology 10, 15 years ago that can do emotional detection, right? Are you going to trust your finance to Frank, who's a good guy, meet you in the pub, has managed, you know, 1,000 customers in an entire lifetime, or Emma, who is an AI and has managed 1 million customers?
I think the question here is, you're still going to have both. And I know.
Cop-out answer.
Cop-out answer there. The challenge we've got is that there isn't a choice. It is the cost of servicing those clients that's gone through the roof that is and the AI needs to fill that gap. So these are individuals that won't be able to access that human-to-human relationship. So certain individuals will have no choice but to deal with an AI model. I think what we're passionate about is ensuring that those humans are there when they're needed, but making them much, much more efficient, dealing with a vast number of clients, but not wasting their time doing a lot of the back office legwork. So it's about augmenting human beings rather than replacing them. Saying that, I do think that the next generation coming through are less likely to want to sit in front of Frank, whether they like playing golf or not, or whether they like having lunches or not. I think I was on one of these panels and somebody was asking me about data bias within AI models. And I threw that back at them and saying, well, you've got Frank, who's earning a commission for selling one product over another, so that's implicit bias. So actually using data-led decisions and transparency is probably the way things are going to go, but using humans for the emotional element on top.
I mean, just I guess to add on, but similarly, humans will always be here. So
I hope.
It's about, yeah, I hope. So it's about what role will they play. So I'm not saying that they will, always have a role in what they have a role in now, i.e. portfolio management, et cetera, but they'll always be adjacent to it. And so it's just a matter of how that looks. I don't think they'll be doing kind of all the back admin or any of that. But I don't know, I think human connection, it's something we saw in COVID, like people need on some level. So I think they'll always have that kind of need or want for it, but I think things will definitely shift drastically in the coming years. So yeah.
Fantastic. All right. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much. We're going to take a quick photo. And then we have 2 brilliant keynote speeches before lunch where we can all dig into more questions. Come harangue Stacey and Natalie.
Excellent.
Fantastic. Thank you. One more round of applause, please.
Thank you.